Hello, welcome to another video. As you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, today is the day that we are going through my top 10 books of 2020. 2020 has been a weird year, feels like it's gone on forever, yet also feels really quick considering I'm filming this on New Year's Eve. So I'm sorry if you can hear fireworks outside because they are going off. It's a bit much. Not a fan of fireworks myself, so sorry if you can hear them in the background. But yeah. Happy New Year! Hopefully this is going up on New Year's Day, so if you're seeing it then, Happy New Year to you. 2020's been a year, and 2020 has been a year where I have read the most books I have ever read in a year before. I ended the year on 120 books, which is a lot. However, narrowing that down to my top 10 has not been as difficult as you might expect, and I think that is majorly down to the fact that I've been using the Core Pile rating system this year, which is a rating system created by G at Book Roast. It's CAWPILE, and that stands for Characters, Atmosphere, Writing, Plot, Intrigue, Logic, and Enjoyment. And in her video, she's got a linked spreadsheet that you can download. You rate the book on each of those individual elements and it averages out a star rating for you. The spreadsheet does all the maths for you. It's really simple and a great system, but it does make it harder to get 5-star reads. So out of my 120 books that I have read this year, I'm pretty sure only 19 of them got 5 stars. So it was easier to narrow that down, because out of those 19, 5 of those were rereads, and I'm not counting rereads in my best books of the year, so that narrows that down even more to 14. 2 of those were middle grades, and I'm going to be doing a separate list for middle grades. I'm going to be doing my top 10 middle grades of the year, because there are some that definitely need some attention. I am really picky with 5-star middle grades, but I'll talk about that in that video. So that narrowed that down even further, leaving me with 12, and one of those 12 was The King's Letters by Sebastian de Castell, which is a 30-page novella, and I could not include that in a top 10 list, could I? But if you've read the Greatcoat series and you haven't read The King's Letters, I really recommend that you do. It's a tiny little novella of The King's Letters, and it really adds a little extra special something. But I can't quite include that in a best books of the year, can I? And that then only leaves one honourable mention for Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. Hasn't quite made it into my top 10, but would get 11th spot, so we could call this my top 11, but we're not gonna. But yeah, honourable mention to Skyward. With all that being said, I think we should probably just get on with it and kick this off with spot number 10. Coming in at number 10, we have The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This year I wanted to be a year that I started on some Brandon Sanderson, and comes in at number 10. Also came in at number 11, but comes in at number 10 officially with The Final Empire, which is the first book of the Mistborn trilogy. This follows the story of an uprising in a world covered in deadly mist that is ruled by the Lord Ruler. It is a world where the Dark Lord won. However, hope survives, and there is an unlikely heroine and a figure of hope that strikes up this rebellion. Our main characters in this, Kelsia and Vin, are allomancers, which means that they can ingest metals to give them particular powers. In this world, you can either be a Mistborn or a Mistling, and the Mistlings can only ingest one metal to give them a power. However, Mistborn can ingest many, and each of the different metals give them different powers. Our heroine discovers that she may well be one of these Mistborn, and she has to learn how to use her powers and learn how she can be useful in this uprising against the Dark Lord. I don't want to say too much more than that because I don't want to spoil it, and I am currently reading the second book in this for my first book of 2021, so a lot more has become clear to me now and what's going on, so I don't want to say anything else. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. This is one that intimidated me for such a long time because of its size and because it's Brandon Sanderson. However, Brandon Sanderson's writing is so easy to get along with, so I don't know why I was scared of it for so long. I had an absolute blast. 5 stars, yeah. Core Pile specific, this came out at exactly 9 out of 10. Coming in at number 9, we have Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. This is book 2 in the Daevabad trilogy, the first one being City of Brass. Book 2 made it into that 5-star category for me, and I absolutely loved it. I think this book is where I fully fell in love with the series, because City of Brass actually got a 4-star from me, which is not bad at all. But this one got 5 stars, and I fell in love with this series at this book. I fully recommend doing the audiobook and reading along for these. I think it was a brilliant reading experience. But this series follows the story of Nahri, who is kind of a bit of a con artist in 18th century Cairo. She has an affinity for sensing people's health or their ailments, and she uses that to her advantage and tricks the rich into spending a ton of money at the apothecary that they might not have actually needed to. When she's performing one of her cons, she accidentally summons a Jinn warrior who shows Nahri what she's been missing out on in her life and what her history actually is, where she may have actually come from, and uncovers a world of magic for her. It gets political. We also follow Prince Alizade in the City of Brass, which is the city of the Deva, and we see like the inside politics and workings from his perspective, and I just adore it so much. So yeah, book 2 in that series is where I fell in love, and I've been pushing it on people since. So comes in at place number 9 with a core pile specific rating of 9.14 out of 10. I love this series. I really recommend you pick it up if you haven't already. Coming in at number 8 is a new love of mine, which is The Missing of Claire de Lune by Christelle de Bose. This is book 2 in the Mirror Visitor Quartet, which is a series I started in December, read book 1 and book 2. Book 1 got 4 stars, it was a pretty high 4 stars. Book 2 nabbed that 5-star spot, and again I have fallen in love with this series. I cannot wait to read book 3, which I think I will be reading in January. This story follows young Ophelia, who is an animist from the Ark of Anima. In this world, it's split up into arcs, and each arc has a family spirit, and everyone on that arc is a descendant of that family spirit, owning a little bit of that power. On Anima, where Ophelia is from, they are descendants of Artemis, and they have the power to animate inanimate objects, bring them to life just a little bit. Ophelia specifically has the power to read the history of objects through touch, and also travel through mirrors. Ophelia is kind of sold off to a political marriage to a guy called Thorn from a distant snowy ark called the Pole, where they are all descendants of Farouk. He's a bit harsh. She's not too keen. But when she gets there, she discovers that that ark is not in a great shape. The clans of the Ark are all kind of at each other's throats. There's politics at play, there's scheming, there's deceptions, there's all sorts going on, and she is kind of thrust right into the middle of it. And I love it. I love Ophelia, I love her attitude, I love all the politics, I love all the deceptions and the scheming. I have fallen in love with this world. Cannot wait to continue, so completely recommend, and I cannot wait for the 4th one to come out, because I know when I've read the 3rd one I'm going to need the 4th one, but it hasn't been translated yet, and they're originally written in French, and I don't speak French, so that's a problem. But 5 stars for this. Core Pile specific came out at a 9.14. Love it very much. Coming in at number 7 is a comic, which is Blackbird by Sam Humphries and Jen Bartel. I don't think a comic has ever made it onto a top 10 list of mine before, but this comic is something else. 5 stars entirely, absolutely adore it. The art style of this is just spectacular. It is gorgeous. I want to find some of the cover images for you. It's just so pretty. Look at that. So this is Blackbird. Is it The Great Beast, this one? Yes, The Great Beast, Volume 1 of Blackbird. I fell in love with this. This follows the story of Nina Rodriguez, who is having a shit time of things, to be completely honest. She's not doing too great. She's lived her entire life thinking that magic is real. She's convinced that she has seen something, and everyone thinks she's insane. Until maybe she's not insane, and maybe her sister is taken by something magical, and the other side of the world is revealed to her. I don't want to say too much because I think it's best to go into this not knowing too much because it will just blow your mind. But God, the art is gorgeous. The story is phenomenal. I cannot wait for the next volume in this. Very excited about that. Love this very much. Hands down, the best comic I think I have ever read. Core Pile specific, this comes out at a 9.29. So really, really recommend this one. Coming in at number 6, we have Saint's Blood by Sebastien de Castell. This is book 3 in the Greatcoat series, which is a series that I have been raving about for over a year now because I started it in 2019, which is when I fell in love with it, and I'm pretty sure I finished this series pretty early this year. This book is fantastic. This series is fantastic. I cannot tell you what book 3 is about for obvious reasons. Massive spoilers. This series follows a group of fallen Greatcoats. The king has been murdered, the Greatcoats have fallen, and Falcio, Kest and Brasti are kind of on a journey to reclaim their honour. They believe that the Greatcoats can still be useful, but at the same time as that, they are also on a mission to fulfill their dead king's last wish. Before he died, he gave all of his Greatcoats one last wish to fulfill, and they are all in pursuit of fulfilling their last task. There's so much more to this, but I don't know how much to say and how much to not say without spoiling it, but action-packed, so action-packed, fast-paced. You fall in love with these guys. They're funny, they're heartwarming, the group of them, the found family that they have along the way as well. It's just such a journey and I adore it. And of course I adore Sebastien de Castell and his writing style. It is a writing style that I really mesh with. As I say, it's action-packed, but it's also funny and I just mix with it so well. Sometimes he has a tendency to like break that fourth wall and address you as the reader. I just get on with it. I can acknowledge that the writing style might not be for everybody, but it's definitely for me, and I encourage you to give the series a go if you haven't, because it's so bloody good. There's a lot of death, there's a lot of fighting, there's dueling. I love the attitude of these characters, the humour that comes across in it whilst they're still in like deadly situations, whilst they're trying to carry out these quests that they keep finding themselves on. It's just a good time, and I love it, but it's also absolutely horrifying, so I love that too. It's not easy breezy. There's a lot of trauma in here too, but I love it so much. So yeah, book 3 in that series. Core Pile specific, this one gets a 9.29. Coming in at spot number 5, we have The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden. This is the 3rd book in the Winter Night trilogy, and I closed out this trilogy pretty early this year. I think it was February. I read this for Polathon. I adored it so much. This is a series that has a place in my heart forever. It's something special. The writing style in here is absolutely gorgeous. I love Catherine Arden's whimsy and the atmosphere that she can build. It's magical. It's special for sure. So the first book in this is The Bear and the Nightingale, then we have The Girl in the Tower and The Winter of the Witch. And this series follows young Vasya. In the first book we start out with her being very, very young. It's kind of a coming of age story for her as she grows up and things in her life happen. Her father remarries a devout Christian woman. However, Vasya has an ability to see the old gods and the like house spirits and stuff. And she doesn't quite get on with this new Christian mother figure in the household. And this new wife of her father's has brought a priest along with her to Vasya's village, and it just causes all sorts of trouble. And Vasya is for sure not what society wants of her. She does not want to be given away in marriage. She does not want to live in a convent. She wants to be free. She wants to be wild. And she does everything within her power to do exactly that. It's a journey. I adored it. A book that can make you cry within the first 40 pages, I think this did. It's something special. Absolutely. It's kind of got a bit of a romantic air in there as well, like as well as it being very political, very adventurous and whimsical. There is also a romantic air in there as well. It's just got a little bit of everything. I acknowledge that the series could be considered a bit slow for people. Maybe some people struggle to get into it, but I think it's so worth the read because it's just a beautiful story. Beautiful atmosphere, beautiful writing. So yeah, 5 stars for this. And Core Pile specific, this one also got a 9.29. Coming in at spot number 4, we have Tyrants Throne by Sebastian de Castell. I won't go on about this because I've already told you what this series is about, because I've already spoken about Saint's Blood, which is book 3. This is book 4, the final book in the Greatcoat series, and I adored it, obviously. Otherwise it wouldn't be in this list. Solid 5 stars. I will repeat, give this series a go. I recommend so wholeheartedly. I love Sebastian de Castell, if you couldn't tell. Coming in at number 3, we have Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the 3rd book in the David Bad trilogy. I've already spoken about Kingdom of Copper, which came in at number 9, so I won't go on about this one, but 3rd and final book in that trilogy. I adored it and will continue to push this series on anyone. This book is wonderful. Series is wonderful. I have such a solid connection to these books now. They will remain in my heart for a long time. Absolutely loved it. And Core Pile specific, 9.29. Coming in at number 2, this could be a surprise, but Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. This is the 2nd book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb, which is the 2nd trilogy of the Realm of the Elderling series. This is the first Robin Hobb book to get 5 stars from me, and it got a solid 5 stars. This was fantastic. The Live Ship Traders series follows the Vestrit family, and in this world, prominent trader families have live ships, and after 3 generations of a family has died on the live ship's deck, they come to life and they are a live ship. Only the prominent traders have these live ships. They are something special, and the Vestrit family has one. Throughout the series, we're following different members of the Vestrit family as they go about doing their own things. Dominantly, we follow Althea, who is our main character in here, and Wintro, who is her nephew, as they kind of embark on different journeys, but of course everything is going to be woven up together somehow. When I went into this series, I really did not know what to expect from this at all, and I would kind of leave it at that. I think the blurbs of the books themselves are a bit spoilery, so I wouldn't even encourage you to read that. I literally went into this knowing after 3 generations of a family die on the decks, the ship comes to life. I don't know anything else, and I kind of think that's all you need to know. But yeah, following the Vestrit family and their different ambitions and different ways about going to get what they want and how that's all going to be woven up together. Adored this. I felt so many things for this. This book made me do a total 180 on a certain character, where for the most of it I was like, if they could just die, that would be great. And then towards the end I was like, damn, they're interesting. I don't think I've ever hated a character as much as I've hated one in here. Definitely got some physical reactions out of me. And yeah, fully 5 stars. Core Pile specific, this got a 9.57, so very, very highly rated. I'm currently in the middle of the sequel to this. I say in the middle of, I've just started the sequel to this one, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes. Of course, I am still reading it for the Elderling along. And finally, coming in at spot number 1, really this should not be too much of a surprise to anybody, because if I'm known for being a fangirl for anyone, it's Miss Schwab. And 2020 was the year I read Vengeful for the first time, and it blew my absolute socks off. This is, of course, the sequel to Vicious, part of the Villains series that Schwab is writing. There is currently only the 2 books, but I'm pretty sure there will be more of it eventually. But Vicious follows Victor and Eli, who are best friends at university, and they are working on a thesis to discover extraordinaries and how to become an extraordinary, and they just about have a breakthrough on that. Flash forward however many years it is, and they are mortal enemies and they want to kill each other. Victor's just broken out of prison, and that is his plan. This one still has those characters present, however also follows Marcella Riggins, whose husband has tried to kill her, and that may or may not have given her some sort of edge. She's brutal. We also have June in this one, who I really liked. She was very intriguing. And of course, Sydney. My heart goes to Sydney. I absolutely adore her. So there's a full cast of characters in here, and what's absolutely great about these books is that grey morality. All of the characters think that what they're doing is the right way to go about doing it, but they also all know that they are not the good guy. Like, they aren't the good guys, they aren't the villains. It's just really complicated with that grey morality. Like, who do you believe in? Who should win here? It's a complicated story, but I absolutely adore these books. And Core Pal specific, this one actually came out at a 9.71, so is the highest rated book of 2020 for me, and coming from Miss Schwab, I really did not expect any less. 5 stars to this. I can't wait for more from this. I am so excited at the prospect of there being more to the villain's world. But then again, anything from Schwab, I am putty for, so that's that. So yeah, that is my top 10 books of 2020. As I say, I will be making a companion list to this of my top 10 middle grades of 2020 because I'd like to keep them a little bit separate, and there are definitely some of those that need highlighting that, although may not have been 5 stars, definitely should be present in a list. So that will be coming to you at some point soon. And of course my worst reads of the year will make an appearance at some point as well. But there are my top 10, plus some honourable mentions. Let me know if you've read any of them down below and what you think of them. I would love to know. Happy New Year to you. I hope that 2021 brings you so much joy. Fingers crossed. It's got to be better than the last one, right? But yeah, that is the end of this video. So thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, give us a thumbs up, as I say. Chat to me down below. Emoji of the video. Let's have something black. The first thing that came to my head. But yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye!